It is the biggest political prisoner release in U.S. history. The Trump administration has just brokered the release of 250 prisoners from Belarus. And a very special person was the negotiator who did this, bringing his total number of negotiated political prisoners from Belarus in less than a year at 500. The news today comes from President Trump's special envoy to Belarus, John Coale, which of course many of you know is my husband. Special envoy Coale posted this picture with some of the freed prisoners at the Lithuania-Belarus border. Needless to say, these newly released prisoners are on cloud nine. They never thought this day would come. In the obviously easiest booking I've ever had in my career, earlier I spoke with Special Envoy to Belarus, John Coale. Okay, first, a little personal message. I promised the interview would get professional. I am enormously proud of you, John, since this is the first time we have spoken, since you haven't called me yet. I know you just got out of Belarus. But congratulations on getting the prisoners out.
Yes, and they take our phones when we enter. That's why you didn't get a call.
Okay. Yeah, and I know that. I understand that. I've been there with you. Okay. All right. How many did you get out today?
250, which brings our total well above 500.
And what countries are these political prisoners from?
Well, the good news is 235 of them came from Belarus. And after pretty strong negotiations, we got the government to say they can go home in Belarus, back to their homes. So they're from there. Then we have 15 of them that are from other countries or were high-profile people who, I guess, led some of the resistance. So 235 will go back to their homes.
All right. Why were these 235 in prison to begin with?
Political crimes in 2020 and on, things like demonstrating or going against the election of 2020 and furthermore. So they were those kind of crimes that in this government were frowned upon, to say the least.
Okay, you say this government, the person you've been dealing with is the president of the country, President Lukashenko. How was he today?
Couldn't have been better. Yesterday I met with the president of Lithuania and the prime minister of Lithuania. I'm trying to also solve the problems between those two countries, because that means it's easier for prisoners, it's easy for a lot of things when they get along. So I got the balloons that were coming over and shutting down the airport solved. There's lots of small issues that have been made into big issues. So I made good progress with Lithuania. And today I brought those same issues up to Lukashenko, the president. And so we're getting good, good movement towards peace between those two countries. We think we're going to get more out, and hopefully by the end of the year, get everybody out.
All right. Two last questions. First of all, what did the prisoners say to you? Because a lot of them, they think they're going to die in prison, and they find out that this American shows up at the behest of President Trump and gets them out. So what did the prisoners say to you, and did Trump's name come up at all in this?
Yes, what I did was, again, I opened the van door where there were 15 of them in the van. I walked in and I said, "You're free." They did not know that they were going to freedom. And I said that, and I said, "President Trump sent me to free you." And they were very excited. We then took them into the border room where they have to get their passports, things like that. And we gave them our phones. They called their families, who had no idea they were getting out. And most of them had been in 4 or 5 years. So I'm sitting there while some of them are calling their families, and their families are hysterical. They're just so thrilled with what's happening. And it was quite emotional for them, and it was emotional for me. But it kind of makes everything worthwhile that we're doing. And President Trump is, President Trump has pretty much given me free rein to do what I want on this issue, and then I report to him, and so far he's been fine with it, because it helps the world see that we're not just at war, we're not doing this, we're also a very compassionate people, and we believe in human rights and humanitarian projects, and this is what that is. It's giving people freedom, people who for years and years had none, and now they do.
All right, well, thank you, and I'll pick you up at the airport tomorrow, and I'm sure that all the animals will be happy to see you. I don't know if they'll quite appreciate what you've done, but anyway, all right, I'll talk to you later. Well, you get some sleep. I'll talk to you when you get up to catch your flight.
See you, honey.
That's so stupid. I can't believe you did that. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
And we have breaking news today. According to police in Barcelona, Spain, the lifeless body of a 20-year-old University of Alabama student, James Gracie, has been recovered. According to a local newspaper, Gracie's body was found in 13-foot deep waters in Barcelona's Port Olympic. Gracie had been missing since early Tuesday morning when he disappeared from the Choco nightclub. He was in Barcelona for spring break, visiting friends who are studying abroad. Gracie's body has been transferred to the Institute of Legal Medicine and Forensic Sciences for an autopsy. Now to the war with Iran. President Trump remains firm and also keeping some cards close to his chest.
No, I'm not putting troops anywhere. If I were, I certainly wouldn't tell you. But I'm not putting troops. Because of that surprise, we knocked out, the first 2 days, we probably knocked out 50% of what and much more than we anticipated doing. So if I go and tell everybody about it, there's no longer a surprise.
As an aside, he was sitting next to the Prime Minister of Japan. Also today, Secretary of War Pete Hegseth gave an update on U.S. operations.
The best defense is a good offense. And so we're not afraid to go after and kill anybody, and we have a lot of them attempting to target our diplomatic facilities. Iran, we're not surprised that they would indiscriminately target, and we're still seeing that.
Since February 28th, the United States, together with Israel, has been pounding Iran. Yesterday, however, President Trump warned Israel against taking it too far. In a Truth Social post, Trump wrote, quote, Israel, out of anger for what has taken place in the Middle East, has violently lashed out at a major facility known as South Pars gas field in Iran. The President also said, quote, no more attacks will be made by Israel pertaining to this extremely important and valuable South Pars field unless Iran unwisely decides to attack a very innocent, in this case, Qatar. Meanwhile, today we heard from Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, who gave a live news conference. Netanyahu rejected the notion that Israel pressured the United States to join the war.
Does anyone really think that someone can tell President Trump what to do? Come on. President Trump always makes his decisions on what he thinks is good for America, and may I add, I think what is also good for future generations.
Senior correspondent John Huddy is live in Tel Aviv, where it is 10:08 p.m. John?
Yeah, and Greta, the Prime Minister also, there was a couple other major takeaways. He said that Iran no longer has the ability to enrich uranium or to manufacture ballistic missiles. Before this operation began, IDF Brigadier General Effie Defrin told me that Iran had an estimated 2,500 ballistic missiles and was trying to double, if not triple, that arsenal, along with building these impenetrable underground facilities. Well, that's been erased. They no longer have the ability to do that. And the Prime Minister also saying that the war will take as long as necessary, really, to complete three main goals. One, removing the nuclear threat, removing the ballistic missile threat, and creating the conditions for the Iranian people to grasp their freedom and control their destiny. Since the start of the war, Greta, Israel has dropped some 12,000 bombs, including 3,600 on Tehran alone. And the joint U.S.-Israeli operation has killed senior IRGC commanders and Iranian leaders, including, most recently this week, the head of the Basij unit, that security force responsible for murdering thousands of protesters and demonstrators, most recently on the streets of Tehran. And before this operation, you know, like I said, Iran had the ballistic missile capacities, but now, according to the prime minister, that threat has been eliminated. Listen.
We are winning, and Iran is being decimated. Iran's missile and drone arsenal is being massively degraded and will be destroyed. Hundreds of their launchers have been destroyed. Their stockpiles of missiles are being hit hard, and so are the industries that produce them. That's important. In Rising Line, we destroyed missiles, and we destroyed a lot of the nuclear infrastructure. But what we're destroying now are the factories that produce the components to make these missiles and to make the nuclear weapons that they're trying to produce. We're wiping out their industrial base in a way that we didn't do before.
But, you know, look, as we've been seeing, Greta, and as I've been reporting, Iran still, albeit with less frequency, has the ability to fire ballistic missiles. And more so, the big threat right now, these cluster munitions. Several people were killed overnight, a worker in central Israel, 3 Palestinian women in the West Bank near the city of Hebron, and then yesterday an elderly couple in Ramat Gan, a suburb of Tel Aviv. And literally, when we were on the ground reporting about those people's death, another cluster munition landed on a building right around the corner. Literally, as we were there, we were scrambling to a bomb shelter when sirens went off, came out, heard the emergency vehicles. Fortunately, no one was injured. IDF officials tell me that Iran is really using any means possible at this point to target civilian areas. But thanks to Israel's multi-layered defense system, an estimated 85 to 95% of these ballistic missiles are being intercepted. I will say one thing, though, to conclude, that IDF officials have told me, and also U.S. officials that I've talked to and military experts, Greta, that even once this war concludes, whenever that happens, whether it's in a couple weeks or a month, there will still be the challenge of destroying the radical Islamist ideology that has really fueled the Islamic regime and its terrorist proxies, notably Hezbollah and Hamas as well. Greta?
John Huddy in Tel Aviv, thank you. Coming up, diplomacy, security, and hugs. You have to see what happened at the White House today. That when the record continues.
Information. Truth. Is power. Is freedom. Is money. Is health. Is Newsmax. Millions watch it. So can you. Newsmax is real news for real people.
If you still have bad breath by lunchtime, your mouthwash isn't working. Smart Mouth is the only mouthwash that prevents bad breath for 24 hours. This is the only mouthwash I recommend. Upgrade your mouthwash to Smart Mouth today and never have bad breath again.
Pump up the volume. Go ahead. Crank the volume. We got you. USPS has increased daily package processing capacity by 46% in the past 5 years. And with USPS Ground Advantage, your packages stay in our secure network, dock to door, nationwide. For full visibility, near real-time tracking, affordable pricing, for peace of mind. USPS Ground Advantage.
Wow. Lo and behold.
I know that walk anywhere.
Welcome to the Senate Social Security. It's a privilege to see you here.
Oh, my God. If any first responder or Gold Star widow has someone die in the line of duty and they leave a young family behind, we pay every mortgage off in America.
Which is such a humane thing to do, to take care of the people that are taking care of us.
Exactly.
I'm Sylvester Stallone. Please donate $11 a month at T2T.org.
Don't kibble your dog.
Hey, Dr. Marty.
Hey, back.
What's wrong with this?
Let's check it out. It's still kibble, which means they're ultra-processed. At Dr. Marty, we freeze-dried premium meats, fruit, and vegetables, and it's available at your local pet store.
Could Japan do more to help the United States in the war with Iran? President Trump thinks so.
I expect Japan to step up because, you know, we have that kind of relationship. And we step up for Japan. We have 45,000 soldiers in Japan. We spend a lot of money on Japan. And we've had that kind of a relationship. So I'm not surprised that they would step up. We don't need much. We don't need anything. I mean, honestly, we don't need anything from Japan or from anyone else. But I think it's appropriate that people step up. In the case of Japan, I hear they get more than 90% of their oil through the strait. So that's a big reason to step up.
Trump made the comments while hosting the Prime Minister of Japan, Sanae Takaichi. Their meeting began with a hug. The Japanese Prime Minister said Japan has been in contact with Iran about stopping attacks on the neighboring countries in the region. Prime Minister Takaichi also said she firmly believes President Trump can achieve peace throughout the world. White House reporter for the Wall Street Journal, Annie Linskey, joins me. Nice to see you, Annie.
Good to see you.
Boy, you really get a sense that in the Oval Office that you're sitting next to the president, and he's taking questions from the American press, some foreign press, that you are, as the visiting nation, you're in the hot seat.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, there's some awkward moments in that Oval Office with visiting leaders in particular.
Why did she come now?
Well, this has been on the books for a while. The Japanese have a close relationship with the U.S. and Trump in particular, and the Japanese Prime Minister have really developed a strong relationship. Trump really respects her. She comes from the right wing. Her coalition in Japan is not so dissimilar from Trump's coalition. So they have kind of a similar base and similar worldviews up to a point, of course.
Well, if they get 90% of their oil, as the president says, going through the Strait of Hormuz, they're in a tight situation right now because there's not a lot of oil flowing through there.
No, there's not. There's not a lot of oil flowing through there.
And I don't know how much they're going to be able to help.
Correct. I mean, the president has offered an array of different messages about whether or not the United States needs or wants help with the Strait of Hormuz. He seems to want U.S. allies to offer help, but he's also said at times when that help has been offered, oh, we don't need it. He said to the U.K., which offered to help, he said, look, we don't need allies who come in when the war was over. Now, he said that on March 7th. The war is still ongoing. But so the message from the White House to allies has not been a particularly clear one here. Also, the Japanese have a constitutional provision about war making, one that the United States insisted was part of their constitution after World War II. So they have a harder time deploying forces, but Trump is trying to set this moment up as a test of who is there for us.
What I really appreciate about this administration is transparency. The president, we always know what the president is thinking. Sometimes, though, what he's thinking might not be particularly attractive to the visitors. Here's one of the exchanges in front of the Japanese Prime Minister.
We didn't tell anybody about it because we wanted surprise. Who knows better about surprise than Japan? Okay? Why didn't you tell me about Pearl Harbor?
Ouch.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, that's a little raw. I mean,
well, you can see the reaction of a Japanese prime minister as he is making those comments. She sort of stops, pauses, she takes a big, deep breath and lets it out and doesn't react.
To her credit.
To her credit, yes.
I mean, how does her staff prepare? Because you never know what Trump's going to say.
That's right. And you were saying it yourself, you're in the hot seat in the Oval Office. Even if you're a leader, a world leader who has a strong relationship with Trump, I mean, you kind of, when you're Vladimir Zelensky, you kind of expect there to be a little bit of tenseness because that has been telegraphed ahead of time. In this case, it was really, to your point, it seemed like an offhanded comment, something that Trump had on his mind. He was thinking about World War II.
He managed to rattle a lot of cages. I mean, even today, the Prime Minister of Israel, Netanyahu, had said in his press conference, because there's a lot of suggestion among a small segment of the Republican Party that Israel somehow pushed Trump into war. And Netanyahu says, no one tells Trump what to do, basically. I mean, sort of all these world leaders are sort of responding to Trump. I mean, he is is controlling the globe that way.
Yeah, he is the center of gravity. There's no question about that.
How is that mega isolationist unit of the Republican Party? Are they having an impact in the White House?
You know, the polling at least shows that what Trump says is correct, that he is MAGA, that there is no MAGA split. There's no way to sort of split away from MAGA, and because Trump is MAGA. You're not going to see a coalition split among the MAGA backers, because that's who he is. And the Tucker Carlson's and the Megyn Kelly's, according to the White House, are loud voices, to be sure, but are not speaking for the MAGA movement.
Except for the fact is that they're awful loud on social media, and younger people are on social media. And what catapulted the president into office in 2024 was he had the young people on his side.
Yeah.
So if they're poisoning the young people, that could hurt in the midterms.
I think there's no question that this conflict could hurt in the midterms, because what you are seeing is the voters who don't describe themselves as MAGA, but who hadn't supported Trump in the past but did vote for him in 2024. Those voters are peeling off, and he is having a hard time keeping that part of the coalition together. But in terms of his core base, they trust him in a way to conduct this war in a way that they probably would not trust even another Republican leader.
Well, but he still has the enthusiasm factor. If he alienates enough people who basically weren't interested in voting for him but did vote for him last time, they're not going to show at the midterms. If the Republicans lose the House, we're going to have impeachment proceedings for the next 2 years. That's just a given.
Yeah, if Republicans lose the House, and there is, some possibility historically that would happen, the dynamic changes a lot for Trump. But keep in mind, this president has not used Congress the way most presidents have. He got a lot of his agenda through already, and he tends to like to have a foil. What he will do, I would imagine, if Democrats take control of Congress, is all of a sudden, he can blame somebody for things going wrong. And right now, as things stand, Republicans control all levers of power in Washington. So it is confusing to the base why things like the SAVE Act are bottled up and can't get passed when Republicans are in charge of everything.
Annie Linskey of the Wall Street Journal, thank you. Coming up, will Oklahoma Senator Markwayne Mullin get the seal of approval from his Senate pals to lead the Department of Homeland Security? That when the record continues.
Go ahead. Make my day.
Actor, Oscar-winning director, and even a mayor, he redefined cool. From humble beginnings to Hollywood icon, he became the face of good guy toughness. Watch American Legend, the Clint Eastwood story.
From the beginning, America has depended on the courage and resilience of those who serve in our armed forces. For 250 years, they've been there for us without fail, putting their lives on the line, defending our freedom, helping us become the nation we are today. At Wounded Warrior Project, our mission honors the past by building a better future for post-9/11 veterans, service members, and their families. Our life-changing programs and services help warriors improve their mental and physical health, access the VA benefits they've earned, and connect with their communities, their purpose, and each other. Warriors have given us their best. Join us in supporting them through the next 250 years of strength, resilience, and recovery. Visit woundedwarriorproject.org/USA250.
The name's Hampton. I know, I look a lot more put together, right? But hey, I've come a long way from my Humpty days. This is bad. See, I've learned a thing or two about crashes and falls. Ooh, on fire. Turns out you shouldn't put all your eggs in one basket. Oh, tempting. That's why I invest with Willow Wealth. Their online platform makes it simple to diversify my portfolio with private markets. I get exposure to everything from fine art and real estate, evocative, right? Still got it. To sports and entertainment. Whoa, easy there. Plus, portfolios including private markets have outperformed traditional ones for the past 20 years. Not that it's a competition. Diversify your portfolio to help rise above public market volatility and level up your game. Like me. Those who know, know.
Is it cold? It looks cold.
Willow Wealth.
Omaha Steaks semi-annual sale is back. Save 50% site-wide on America's best steaks, chicken, burgers, and more. All backed by our 100% guarantee. Right now, you'll get 12 Omaha Steaks burgers free with your order. Visit omahasteaks.com/TV today.
Are you or a loved one a military veteran that has been diagnosed with mesothelioma? Do you have questions about getting the best treatment or paying medical bills? Have you received the proper care and compensation you deserve? Let our firm serve you with the same dedication you served your country. We are exclusively devoted to helping those with mesothelioma. Call now to get this free book, and we'll answer any question you have. We'll even visit you.
Call 800-555-8958 or go to mesobook.com.
Kibble. It's been the standard for decades, and it's failing our dogs. That's why we created Badlands Ranch Superfood Complete. It's gently air-dried, locking in the nutrients and the flavor dogs go wild for. Visit your local pet food retailer today.
Need blood pressure support? Total Beets contain a patented key ingredient clinically shown to deliver 2 times better blood pressure support. That's why Total Beets is the #1 best-selling beets brand in America. Take control of your health with Total Beets. Search Amazon now for Total Beets.
Today, the Senate Homeland Security Committee voted to advance Oklahoma Senator Markwayne Mullin's nomination to lead the Department of Homeland Security. The vote was 8-7. As expected, fellow Republican, Kentucky Senator and Chairman of the Senate Homeland Security Committee, Rand Paul, was the sole Republican to vote against Republican Mullin's nomination. But Democrat Pennsylvania Senator John Fetterman voted with the Republicans to advance the nomination to the full Senate vote. That full Senate vote is expected next week. And today is day 33 of the partial government shutdown that has shut down the Department of Homeland Security. TSA officers are still being forced to work without pay, and now some airports are announcing that they will be temporarily closing some of their security checkpoints. Meanwhile, they are back. Today, the nation's intelligence leaders from DNI, CIA, and FBI were back on Capitol Hill. They testified again about threats to our homeland. This was before the House Intelligence Committee. Yesterday, the intel leaders were across the Hill in the U.S. Senate. They testified before the Senate Intelligence Committee. Here are a few highlights from today's testimony in the House.
Our Iran Threats Mission Center has never been more resourced, as I've highlighted, a 43% increase in counter-espionage arrests from Iran alone, and 360 ongoing terrorism investigations with Iran-affiliated
And
individuals.
the people, has Iran plotted assassination attempts against Americans on American soil?
Yes.
Was Iran developing a nuclear weapon prior to our military action last June? And did Iran remain committed to developing a nuclear weapon in the lead up to this conflict?
Yes.
Are the goals aligned?
The objectives that have been laid out by the president are different from the objectives that have been laid out by the Israeli government.
And how do they differ?
We can see through the operations that the Israeli government has been focused on disabling the Iranian leadership and taking out several members.
How does that differ from our goals?
The president has stated that his objectives are to destroy Iran's ballistic missile launching capability, their ballistic missile production capability, and their Navy, the IRGC Navy and mine-laying capability.
Coming up, Kharg Island, where is it? Why should you care about a small island thousands of miles away that's a blip on a map? You'll find out when the record continues.
Biden-Harris demanded 80% of U.S. cars be electric by 2035. Now, find out about the lost jobs, environmental dangers, and why Detroit's unions fought back. Watch Revolt, the case against EV mandates.
You know, WeatherTech isn't just for new cars. No matter how old or new your car is, it deserves WeatherTech. With laser-measured protection for practically every car on the road, we've got you covered. Because messes don't care what year your car is. Whatever you're driving, we got it. We got it. We got it. Got it. We got it. We got it. We've got it. Oh, we got it. No matter what year your vehicle is, it deserves WeatherTech. Order your American-made protection today at WT.com. We're WeatherTech. You know we got it.
Forget the warm-up. DirecTV got hot. They're on fire with more MLB games than anyone. Welcome to the big leagues, kid.
How old are you?
11.
Does it ever feel like society is going up in flames, yet people don't have the strength to care?
There's a hidden reason for that, and it may surprise you. Testosterone levels in American men are at an historic low, and it's testosterone that gives men the energy to be men. Support your own natural testosterone production with Chalk. Go to chalk.com/TV1 for your $17.76 discount. Chalk's all-American customer service team is standing by.
I wish I could just watch live sports at home.
Oh, Sling let you do that.
I wish I could watch live sports at home at a low price.
Sling let you do that. Sling let you do that. Sling let you do that.
Yeah, well, I wish I could watch live sports and pause my subscription when my team sucks and still get hundreds of channels for free.
Sling lets you do that.
Choose and customize your channel lineup or pause and watch for free. Sling lets you do that. Base package required.
I'm Dr. Christopher Davis. It's not typical for a supplement company to consult a cardiologist, but Human did. That's because Human is different. Founded in partnership with the University of Texas, formulated with clinically studied ingredients for healthy blood pressure and energy support. This is modern-day cardiovascular support, recommended by more cardiologists than any other beet brand. I believe in Human because their supplements aren't just science-backed, they're science-born. Only Human.
You woke up with a sore throat and a low-grade fever. You know you are getting sick, so here's your choices. You can get sicker and miss work. Try to see a doctor this week or sit hours in a crowded waiting room at urgent care.
I have a smarter option for you. Open your medical emergency kit. Match your symptoms to doctor-recommended prescription in your booklet and take the right meds now and get well faster.
This is not a first aid kit. It's like having an urgent care in your home. It includes doctor-prescribed medications to treat over 39 medical issues like respiratory infections, strep throat, pneumonia, UTIs, and more.
No waiting to see the doctor and no standing in line at the pharmacy. It's right here.
Every home should have at least one medical emergency kit, and here's how to order.
Order online and save $45. Your kit to treat dozens of common and serious illnesses is rushed to your door. Visit urgentcarekit.com/news, promo code NEWS. That's urgentcarekit.com/news, promo code NEWS.
Before the war with Iran began on February 28th, did you ever hear of Kharg Island in Iran? I confess I had not. But now I've learned a lot about it, and it's very important to both you and to me. The island sits about 16 miles off Iran's coast. It is about 1/3 the size of Manhattan. So why should you and I care about it? Because it is Iran's economic lifeline. It's their oil hub. And any disruption to operations on Kharg Island could further impact how much you pay for a gallon of gas at the pump. Kharg Island handles about 90% of Iran's total crude oil exports. It generates between $30 to $60 billion a year in revenue. There are only about 8,000 people who live on Kharg Island. President Trump has been debating whether or not to seize this island. Seizure could force Iran to open the Strait of Hormuz, which could ultimately bring down gas prices. On Friday night, the U.S. says it conducted a precision strike on Kharg Island. And today the president said this.
We can take out the island anytime we want. I call it the little oil island that sits there, so totally unprotected. We've taken out everything but the pipes. We left the pipes because to rebuild the pipes would take years for them to do.
Oddly, this was not President Trump's first time talking about Kharg Island. Go all the way back 38 years ago to 1988, and way before the president was a politician. He then told the Guardian news organization, quote, "One bullet shot at one of our men or ships, and I would do a number on Kharg Island. I would go in and take it," end quote. So why is Iran attacking its neighbors? On February 28th, the United States and Israel attacked Iran. Iran responded by not only shooting missiles at Israel and American bases in the region, but Iran also targeted Arab countries in the region that had nothing to do with the Israel and the United States attack. I don't know about you, but if I were Iran, I would not want my neighbors angry with me by firing missiles into them. Well, yesterday, Iran expanded its attacks into Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia's capital of Riyadh was hit by Iranian ballistic missiles. This was the first time Riyadh heard blasts or received phone alerts warning of incoming. Saudi Arabia set it down 4 incoming ballistic missiles. Some debris fell near a refinery. This was not the first time, though, that Saudi Arabia has been one of Iran's targets. Since the war began, hundreds of Iranian missiles and drones have been fired at Saudi Arabia. The Saudis say the majority, but not all, have been intercepted. Yesterday's missile attack at Saudi Arabia came hours before the Saudis hosted a meeting of regional foreign ministers. Today, the Saudi foreign minister warned Iran that his country's patience is wearing thin.
I think that's the clearest signal of how Iran feels about diplomacy. It doesn't believe in talking to its neighbors. It tries to pressure its neighbors. And what I can say categorically, that's not going to work. The kingdom is not going to succumb to pressure. We have reserved the right to take military actions if deemed necessary. And if the time comes, the leadership of the kingdom will take the necessary decision.
For a little bit of history, Saudi Arabia and Iran are rivals. Saudi Arabia is viewed as the leading Sunni Muslim power. Iran is the dominant Shia Muslim power. Former Deputy Commander of Central Command and retired Navy SEAL Vice Admiral Robert Harward joins me. Nice to talk to you, sir. And when you listen to President Trump and Prime Minister Netanyahu, it seems to me as a layperson that this war probably is almost over if the goals are no more can they enrich uranium, and it's from what the people are saying is we've blasted that capability. No more can they manufacture ballistic missiles, so that was another goal, and they can't launch them. So what more is to be done?
Greta, good to be with you. I think first the Prime Minister made it very clear that our objectives are aligned. Iran cannot be allowed to have a nuclear weapon. She said that first and foremost. And then she said second, right after that, the Straits of Hormuz must be open to free commerce. So first off, confirmation that world leaders are coalescing around the objectives here is a big step. And that's we're going to need going forward. You even saw from Saudi acknowledgement that using missiles against the other GCC is not going to enhance pressure. It's going to enhance the coalition willing to act against Iran, ensure we're going to have free flow of oil through the Gulf. I was in Kharg Island in the 70s where they first started their oil production, the movement to do that. And that has been their crown jewels for decades now. So that's at risk. If we have to take Kharg Island as the first step to establish a beachhead to get the flow of fuel going through the Gulf, so be it. But even more important than that, it signifies to the Iranian people the commitment that we're willing to establish a beachhead to enable them to take control of the country. And one more irony, I think, important to mention about the Prime Minister's visit. If you remember, 80 years ago, they were a shattered, destroyed country. We came in, assisted, and in fact, MacArthur led the effort to help rebuild Japan into what it is today. I tell you, the analogies to Iran, what's going to happen in Iran, the removal of this regime, and the assistance to help Iran become the country it was in the 70s is clear to me. You'd almost have to be a blind man not to see it.
Well, you know, that makes me, I think to myself, and obviously I look through my very Western eyes, is that the writing is on the wall. When you've got, Japan making those comments, the Prime Minister, you've got the Saudi Foreign Minister making those comments, you've got all your missile launchers bombed, you've got your uranium program pretty much destroyed, maybe totally destroyed. At what point does Iran see the writing on the wall? A lot of their leaders have been eliminated. Is it just that their religious fervor is such as that they will never cry uncle? At what point do they throw in the towel?
Well, you've got it, Greta. They've got so much blood on their hands. They've killed so many of the regime, the IRGC, that there's no place for them to go. It's do or die. And of course, the Israelis are helping that to target these. So there's going to become a tipping point where those who have one foot in either camp or don't have blood on their hands can be part of the future. I think taking Kharg Island, a beachhead, symbolizes that. This commitment from other world leaders symbolizes that. So we've just got to reassure everyone the commitment to see this through is going to happen. And the sooner they realize that, those who do have too much blood on their hand will be running for the hills trying to get out while they can before the crowds rip them apart.
But But early on, President Trump, and I don't think he's changed it so much, but he said that anyone who surrenders will get amnesty. You know, if I'm the Iranian ambassador to the United States and I'm watching this going on Western television, I know they're being told something different inside Iran, is that I would take him up on that offer of amnesty. I would surrender. I mean, I assume that offer is still valid, but you don't see anybody surrendering. That no one. I mean, it's fight to the bitter end.
Well, here's the thing. The people can't come out of their homes. People can't come out. If you say, hey, I'm going to take immunity, you're going to be killed by the regime. So you do have this dilemma. So we have to look at those opportunities to present at not only the tactical level, the guy on the street, the operational members, like the ship. We torpedoed the ship. Did we give them the offer for immunity? So I agree 100% with you. This offer of immunity is going to carry the day, but they have to have opportunities to realize that. And right now, as much as the regime in IRGC is hiding from our bombs, you have Iranian people who are ready to go hiding from the IRGC. So what are those points we can see, those opportunities to let people realize immunity? And that's the real problem we've got to present and work through. So I think the policy and strategy is very sound. It's how we implement, and more importantly, how can the Iranian people seize those opportunities? And I thought the military is the first place to go after. You know, that ship could have done it. Is there an army unit in Mashed that can move against them? Is there one in Qom? So we've got to make that a reality and push it down to the tactical and operational levels and give people the opportunity to see it through.
Vice Admiral Robert Harward, thank you, sir.
Thank you. Good to be with you, Greta.
Nice to have you. Coming up, guess which Football Hall of Famer, Super Bowl winning coach and player had a college basketball career before making NFL history? Find out when the record continues.
I'm Elmer Heinrich, owner of the company that sells an incredible nutritional supplement called Immuno 150. I'm celebrating my 92nd birthday in excellent health and condition because I've been consuming 70 minerals and 80 other nutrients found in Immuno 150. I don't have arthritis, diabetes, heart problems, dementia, or anything else. My blood pressure average is 119/72. My PSA is 0.00. I can still run, jump, and climb a ladder, dance for hours, or do anything else I want to do. Now, if you want to live a ripe old age and still have all of your marbles and muscles, you should try Immuno 150. Regardless of your age, chances are you're not in excellent health because you lack many minerals in your diet. Now, don't hesitate any longer. Try Immuno 150 so you can surprise your doctor the next time you get a physical. Immuno 150 may be the best food supplement in the world. Thank you and God bless.
New kitchens, new styles, now at new low prices during the Cabinets to Go flash sale. This week only, get a great kitchen for half the price with custom stock and custom-built cabinets up to 50% off. Or take 45% off our newest collections. Then get the perfect finish with custom countertops 25% off. Plus, we can help you imagine it before installation with a free 3D design. So hurry and save now through March 24th. Only at Cabinets to Go. Designed to wow.
Kevin Sorbo here, and I have an important message to share. The government needs more money, your money. If you owe the IRS back taxes, they can garnish your wages and levy your bank accounts. They can even seize your retirement or take your home. Don't let the IRS target you. Call the professionals at Tax Network USA. Their tax lawyers and enrolled agents are experts in powerful programs that may even help you eliminate your tax debt.
Call for a free consultation or visit tnusa.com.
Nobody knows Corvettes like McMulkin Chevrolet, the world's largest Corvette dealer for 5 consecutive years. Set apart by its name alone, Corvette delivers a legacy of American craftsmanship, and a vehicle that sets the bar for performance cars deserves a buying experience that beats it. With hundreds of Corvettes in stock and ready for immediate delivery nationwide, it's no wonder Corvette enthusiasts from across the USA keep coming back to McMulkin Chevrolet.
The human brain is truly incredible. It's a complex network of 100 billion neurons that create cognitive functions surpassing that of supercomputers. Our brain controls our thoughts, our emotions, and our movements. Prevagen contains apoaquarin, originally discovered in jellyfish, and is designed specifically for the brain to help keep it amazing, so that we can continue to live our best life. Prevagen, for your brain.
It's the most exciting time of the year for college basketball and all us fans. The NCAA men's and women's basketball tournaments are officially underway. The first 4 games of the day for the men's tournament are in the books so far. Texas Christian University, University of Nebraska, University of Louisville, and High Point University that beat Wisconsin are all moving on to the next round. Meanwhile, the women's tournament, the round of 64, begins tomorrow. You know my next guest, everybody does. He is a Hall of Fame coach, but there is something you probably don't know about him, but I do know. He also had a college basketball career. In his freshman year at the University of Minnesota, he played 16 games for the Golden Gophers basketball team. In one of those games, his Golden Gophers beat my Wisconsin Badgers. The Badgers seem to like to get beaten. But I do forgive him anyway, despite that loss. Hall of Fame NFL coach and Super Bowl winning coach, Super Bowl winner, player, and former freshman guard for the 1973-1974 University of Wisconsin Golden Gophers basketball team, Coach Tony Dungy joins me. Nice to see you, sir.
Greta, you went back a long ways to get that picture. I cannot believe that.
Well, we found it. But I tell you, it's a bad day for me. I filled out my brackets, and I'm so mad. I had Wisconsin going all the way. And I got bumped out today. Wisconsin lost by 1 point. I want to slip my throat because I'm bumped out of the brackets the first day.
Well, that is the beauty and the joy and also the heartbreak of the NCAA tournament. Upsets happen. It's win or go home, and that's what makes it so much fun, though.
I remember one year, and this is switch sports, but I remember one year in August, and I asked you who was going to win the Super Bowl. And I forgot, I think it might have been Kansas City. It was years ago, and I was down in Tampa interviewing you, and you said, I don't know, I think it's going to be, I think whoever it was. And I remembered, and then at the end, you were right about it. So having said that, how's your crystal ball for the NCAA? Do you have any sort of thought who's going to win? Because it's obviously not Wisconsin.
I don't. I'll tell you what, there's just so many teams that are involved and could get on a hot streak. I will say this, though. I've been in a couple different places. I was in Indianapolis on Monday, and they're so excited there about Purdue and their opportunity. They upset Michigan in the Big Ten tournament, so they're feeling fired up. One of my best friends, you mentioned a high school career, guy that I played with in Michigan, who went to University of Arizona. I was visiting him in Tucson last week, and the Arizona Wildcats are fired up about their opportunities. So that's 2 teams that I feel like have a shot at it. Also being here in Tampa, University of Florida, not too far away, they're playing their first round game here in Tampa, and that Gainesville crowd is really fired up too. So I'm going to say one of those 3 teams, Arizona, or Florida, or Purdue.
Well, I'll remember that when we get down to the end. But what is it, do you think, about basketball? I mean, I know your heart's in football and everything, but I love college basketball. I mean, and the NCAA, maybe it's because the rest of the time on the show I'm talking about war and people shooting missiles at each other. I think. But when you get down to this and the enthusiasm of the students, even though Wisconsin lost, it's an exciting tournament, isn't it?
It really is. And you talk about, football. For me, basketball was my first love. I actually went to the University of Minnesota because they were one of the few schools that most people were recruiting me to play football. But I wanted to play basketball, and they were one of the few schools that were going to let me do that. But I just think the atmosphere, the energy, everything that goes along with it, the student sections are so special. Football is great, but you get those basketball crowds, and it's pretty awesome.
Why did you switch from basketball to football? Because I know that you played basketball 1 year at Minnesota, I think one, correct me if I'm wrong, and then you were a quarterback at Minnesota. Why did you switch? Why couldn't you play both?
I was better in football, and I was too short. I found out I was too short to play basketball. We had a pretty good team my freshman year, but then my sophomore year, Michael Thompson, Kevin McHale came in. We started to get some really good players and compete, and I just wasn't quite good enough. I had a better chance in football.
So you walked from basketball. Well, that was too bad because you and I are about the same age, and so you're actually playing at the same time that against Wisconsin when I was there. All right, looking towards the tournament, what do you tell your? I'm obviously feeling a little burned right now since the Wisconsin game just ended a short time ago. But what does a coach tell a team? It's like better luck next time. I mean, after you lose by 1 point.
Well, it's like the NFL playoffs. When you don't win, you've got to see what you can learn from that, and then you've got to get ready for next year. Unfortunately, in college basketball, you've got some seniors now that won't be back next year. But you really try to learn from it, grow from it, use that disappointment as a catapult into the next season and say, you know what, we know what we had to do to get there. Now we've got to get a little bit better so we can take that next step.
Well, everyone here says I can't redo my brackets, but I am anyway. I'm going to redo them after today because I didn't do too well. Coach Tony Dungy, Dungy, nice to see you, and it's going to be a long tournament, so I hope you come back. Will you come back till this tournament's over?
We'll do it. We'll see how things progress in the next couple of weeks, but it's always great to be with you, Greta, and thanks for inviting me.
Thank you, sir. And TSA agents are dealing with a lot. Congress can't get it together to pay them, so they are working without pay. And in addition to the financial pressure, they often have to put up with rude passengers. On Sunday at LAX, a TSA agent was assaulted. Department of Justice says Australian traveler Thomas Jesse Bingham approached an on-duty uniformed TSA officer. Bingham then allegedly accused the agent of taking his backpack and passport. The DOJ says Bingham grabbed the officer's uniform, pulled his TSA identification from his neck, grabbed his hair, and then pushed him into a glass wall. The TSA agent suffered some injuries. Airport police arrested Bingham, but he was later released from custody. DOJ says the next day, Bingham tried to board a flight to the United Kingdom. He was then arrested again. By the way, Bingham's backpack, that was found in an airport restaurant where Bingham had been. Bingham is now charged with assaulting a federal officer. If convicted, he faces 8 years in federal prison. Okay, that was trouble in the airport. Now for some trouble in the skies. On Tuesday, the Swiss Transportation Safety Board released scary details of a near crash 8 years ago in 2018. On August 11th of 2018, an Airbus with 166 passengers was flying from Zurich, Switzerland to Nice, France. As the plane began its descent to land, the captain told the co-pilot that he wasn't feeling well and he would not be able to handle the landing. The report says the captain then lost consciousness. The captain slumped forward and his body unintentionally moved the controls. That caused the aircraft to tilt sharply from side to side. And as you can see, the yellow line is the normal glide path, but this plane took the path depicted in the color blue. The plane dropped below the planned approach path, nearing the water. When the plane was 200 feet above ground, the captain regained consciousness. The captain was told, though, not to go near the controls. 30 seconds later, the aircraft landed safely. The captain then began vomiting. So what caused this to happen? Investigators say the captain was suffering from food poisoning. As an aside, what took the Swiss 8 years since 2018 to figure that out and release the report? Whatever. Now for one more aviation story. A viral video taken a few weeks ago shows an airport worker putting tape on a Spirit plane. Looks a lot like duct tape, which might scare anyone boarding that plane. But it's not duct tape, it's called speed tape. It is an FAA-approved aluminum adhesive tape for temporary fixes. It is built to handle extreme speeds and all types of weather. It's safe. Coming up, the airport drama continues. Someone sneaked past security. That when the record continues.
Sponsored by Dr. Marty Nature's Blend, the health of fresh food with the convenience of kibble. Visit drmartypets.com/TV.
Don't kibble your dog.
Oh, hey, Dr. Marty.
Hey, back.
But what's wrong with this? It's premium stuff.
Let's check it out. It's still kibble, which means it's ultra-processed at extremely high temperatures that destroy the nutrients in the food. But at Dr. Marty, we gently freeze-dried premium meats, fruits, and vegetables, locking in their nutrients.
Never kibbled.
You got it, kid, and they're gonna love it.
For pain in multiple spots like here, here, or here,
Salonpas patches stick firmly and remove comfortably once your pain is gone. Salonpas. It's good medicine.
Champions trust Cosequin, the #1 vet-recommended retail joint health supplement brand.
Some wireless companies say that they stand for something. What exactly do they stand for, and why won't they say it out loud? Let me tell you what Patriot Mobile stands for. They stand for the lives of the unborn. They stand for the Second Amendment and the right to protect yourself and your family. They stand for our veterans and first responders who sacrifice so much for our freedom. Make the switch to Patriot Mobile today and support a company that doesn't just say they stand for something, but one that stands for the things that matter the most.
We're talking to people today about investments. Let's see if we can get somebody. Excuse me, sir. Do you have a retirement account?
I do. I'm invested in some annuities.
Fixed income? How is that?
It was better a few years ago. Each year, it buys less and less, barely keeping up.
That's where gold can make a difference. Unlike fixed payouts, gold rises with inflation, so you're not stuck with a low fixed payment.
So gold isn't stuck in the past like my annuity?
Don't let inflation erode your retirement savings. Invest in gold. Invest with Noble Gold Investments.
The spring kickoff sale at Lumber Liquidators is on now through the 24th only. Discover real quality at unreal prices. Built to last laminate flooring as low as 67 cents a square foot. Waterproof vinyl as low as 79 cents a square foot. Solid hardwood as low as $1.99 a square foot. Hurry, these floors will last a lifetime, but these prices won't, so don't miss out. Sale ends March 24th. Start shopping the spring kickoff today in stores nationwide or online at lumberliquidators.com.
Every DR field and brush mower gives you the power to do more. More power, more maneuverability, and more features. With more choice, get ready to do more this season. With a 2-year warranty, free shipping options, and more. Scan the code or visit drpower.com today to shop the sale or find your local dealer.
Omaha Steaks semi-annual sale is back. Save 50% site-wide on America's best steaks, chicken, burgers, and more. All backed by our 100% guarantee. Right now, you'll get 12 Omaha Steaks burgers free with your order. Visit omahasteaks.com/TV today.
If you still have bad breath by lunchtime, your mouthwash isn't working. Smart Mouth is the only mouthwash that prevents bad breath for 24 hours. This is the only mouthwash I recommend. Upgrade your mouthwash to Smart Mouth today and never have bad breath again.
Here in the United States, the partial government shutdown is causing long lines and many issues at airports. But in Australia, where there's no shutdown, an intruder sneaked past airport security. Who was it? This possum. The possum was spotted at an airport gift shop in Tasmania. He was hiding in the stuffed animals. Luckily, we have the video. After being caught and recorded, the possum escorted himself out of the store without incident. No trespassing arrest was made. Thank you for watching. Ed Henry, The Big Take, is next. Stay with Newsmax. See you tomorrow.